A warm welcome to all of you. Before you is Srimati Muktambika SM, who is working as lecturer in Government Polytechnic Raichur in Electronics and Communication Department. Today we are going to study the chapter Entrepreneurship. In that we are going to look upon session number 6. In the previous sessions we have already seen or we studied about market risk, market survey and all. And now we are going to see the further what are the contents that we are going to see in the session 6 include project planning, project capacity, preparation of project report. In the preparation of a project report, you are again going to study about preliminary project study and feasibility study. Next, we are going to study about what are the key factors that are involved to succeed in business and what are the procedural steps to become a successful entrepreneur. And again, the basic steps there, the characteristics of an entrepreneur. We are going to study all these in this chapter. Now, let us begin with what is project planning? How do you define project planning? Project planning is nothing but it's a discipline for starting how to complete a project within a certain time frame, usually with defined stages. So, how many number of stages you are going to take, and what is the time frame you have to complete the project? That is an important concept here. Next, what are we going to do is how are you going to set the objectives? How are you going to complete the project in the time frame that is provided for you? Okay. Now, when you are setting the objects means what? What all should you think upon if you want to complete the project in the deadline that is given for you? What are the things that you need to concentrate upon? The first one is you will have to concentrate on what are the deliverables that I have to think of, and you have to plan the schedule properly. Secondly, you have to think of making supporting plans. So, what else could make me to keep up my time to complete the project before deadline? And again, many supporting plans which may include human resources, what are the communication methods and how are you going to handle the risk. So these are the different things which you need to concentrate upon. What are the things that could take away your time? So if you know all these factors, then it becomes very easy for you to complete the project before the deadline there. Next, what are the key elements of project planning? So you can just look into the figure there. When you think of or when you start planning about a project, what are the things or the elements that you need to keep focused upon? The first one coming to, you can see there, identifying all stakeholders, define roles and responsibilities, hold a kickoff meeting, define project scope, budget and timeline, set and prioritize goals, define deliverables, create project schedule, do a risk assessment, communicate project plan. So these all are the things. So you can see them all are like one behind the other. It's a continuous process there. When you start planning a project, it's a loop into which you stick on to. So first thing is when you are planning a project, you'll have to think of what is your project goal? What do you really want to achieve? A project is successful when it has met the needs of stakeholders. For whose sake are you making these projects, or who is the main person behind all these projects? It's all because of the stakeholders that you are completing the projects there. Or whom do we call a stakeholder? A stakeholder is anybody who is directly or indirectly impacted by the project. So, first of all, it is very important to identify. What do you need to identify? Who is your stakeholder in the project? So first thing what you do is identifying the stakeholders of your project. Then what you do is you go on thinking like who is going to sponsor your project, the customer, who is the person who is going to receive your deliverables, or what is going to be the project output, and who is going to be the user, and who is going to be the project manager, or what is going to be a project team. These are all things you need to think of when you think of the stakeholders there. Once you have established a clear set of goals, they should be recorded into a project plan. It can be useful also to include the needs and expectations of all your stakeholders. I told you, stakeholder is the person who definitely wants your project. So you should be focused upon what he needs. Okay, that should be carefully explained in your project plan. Now you have completed the most difficult part of the planning process. Okay, then what you are going to do? You are going to move on and look at the project deliverables. Then what is this project deliverables? Using the goals you have defined in steps 1. First, we told we need to set a goal that suits the stakeholder. Then what you are going to do? You are going to define the deliverables. Using the goals you have defined, you have to create a list of things or the things that are needed by the project needs to deliver to meet these goals. What are the things needed to reach your goal? Specify when and how to deliver each item. Add the deliverables to the project plan and an estimated delivery date. When should this project be submitted? That's also should be mentioned in the project deliverables there. Then you are going to establish more accurate delivery dates using the schedulable uh, phase, which is going to be next. When you get to know when you have to deliver the product, you will be clear with how much time is left with you to complete the product or finish the product. Then the third step being project schedule, or we have mentioned it. You can just see in the figure there. Create a project schedule. Create a list of tasks that need to be carried out for each deliverable that is identified in step 2. Okay, for each task, what are you going to define? The amount of effort means what? How many hours of a day are you going to work, or how many hours of a day is needed to complete the task or the goal. Secondly, the resource who will carry out the task. Who is the person behind this? Who is the person who is going to execute your goal? That also you have to know. Once you have established the amount of effort for each task, you can work out the effort required for each deliverable and an accurate delivery date. Update your deliverable section with the more precise delivery date. So what I have been doing here, in when you go for creating a project schedule, you should know how many hours each person should work to complete the project. This is all planned here. Then what you are going to do, what is the deadline, so that you should be always focusing upon. Renegotiate the deadline, employ additional resources if you feel you are falling short of things. You usually, when you go on planning, you will feel everything perfect, but when you start up with the production, what happens? You may get to know there are many problems that come across. Then you have to know what are the additional resources, what could be my increased cost, what how should I reduce the scope of the project, so which is less delivered here. Use the project schedule to justify pursuing one of these options. So you just go for planning of the schedule of your project, how many number of hours, who is going to work upon this, so that you are going to submit the project before the deadline. Then coming to supporting plans. When we say supporting plans, this can include human resource plan. So means what? Human resource means identify by name the individuals and organizations with a leading role in the project. Who is the main leader in the project? For each, describe their own responsibilities, okay, on the project. And then you are going to see for that person how many are going to work for him. So like this, you are going to plan everything in human resource plans. Then comes to communication plan. What are you going to do here? Create a document showing who is kept informed about the project and how they will receive the information. Who all need to know how your project is progressing, and how are you going to inform them? What are the means of communicating the information to them? The most common mechanism is a weekly or a monthly status report. You can just update to them every weekend, or you can just, if a project is big, you can just go for notifying them at the end of the month there, describing how your project has been performing, what are the milestones that you have achieved, and what all plans you have for further. Then coming to risk management plan. So any project you take into hand, always there is a risk behind. So what are you going to do here? Risk management is again a very important concept in project management, although very often we overlook it. So we assume that always there are no risks in whatever things we are doing. It's most important to identify as many risks to your project as possible and be prepared if something bad happens. So that should be there. Risk management is the one where you get alert before something happens. So for that, you should be prepared well, like what type of risk you may get and how am I going to overcome it. This is called as risk management. And then some of the examples of common project risk could be time and cost estimations, customer review and feedback cycle, unexpected budget cuts. So these all can be called or looked into as risk management. Okay, see the same things here: project goals, project deliverables, project schedule, supporting plans. I told you human resource plans, communication plan, risk management. Okay, and unclear roles and responsibilities, no stakeholders input obtained, not clearly understanding stakeholders' needs, stakeholders changing requirements after the project has started. You have actually you will have asked the stakeholder and you will have started the project, but in between the stakeholder changes his mind and he may tell you some additional changes, or he may tell that he doesn't need something from what you have already been doing. Then that could also be a risk to you. And poor communications, when we don't communicate with each other, many things get missed. Okay, so what you are going to see is the poor communication that you have, that should not lead to any misunderstandings, or it shouldn't again lead you to rework and all. So lack of resources commitment. So when you think that this much is essential for a product, you should buy it in advance. When you think it's okay, then the problem arises of lack of resource commitment. Now let us go for the further topic called as project capacity. So we'll already know what's the capacity. Capacity is defined as an ability to achieve something. So how can you achieving something? It's the maximum you are capable of producing, handling, achieving, storing, etc. When we say I have some capacity, you will get to know that what capacity you have, what how much am I capable of doing. That is called as capacity. So you'll also be knowing capacity is defined as an ability to achieve something. So what do you do? For instance, if a bucket can hold 25 liters, capacity can store up to but not more than 25 liters. In terms of project management, capacity typically refers to the maximum amount you can produce or accomplish within a normal working schedule with a fixed amount of resources. So whatever amount of resources you have and whatever amount of time you have, within that itself, if you are capable of producing the things, then that is called, or that can maximize your capacity. Okay, it's the closer you get to capacity, the faster the project gets completed. How committed you are to complete the project, but you don't want to go over capacity and burn out your team. What does this mean? I told you everybody of us have a different capacity levels. We should never go for overworking the team people there. Clear? Next, what are the factors that we should consider? First is you have to look into the demand of the product in the market, whether the demand is regular or fluctuating. What is the quantity of power, water, land, and raw materials available? Then types of business organization, nature of the product, investment capacity. So these are the few things you need to consider before you begin your project there. The product that I am going to make, is it demandable in the market? So that you have to look into. Then, and whether the product that I am producing is regularly getting sold, or whether the demand is fluctuating, seasonal and all. And what is the amount of power or water or land or raw material that is available with me, and what type of business organization am I running. whether it's a small scale, a large scale, a medium scale, whatsoever. Then what's the nature of the product I'm producing and what is the investment capacity. So when you get to know all this, it becomes easy for you to prepare the project report. So after defining the project, I told you initially you need to set your goal. After setting the goal, what you do? You try to rearrange the resources that you have, manage the time constraint. So when you do everything, the schedules and all are planned, then you can go for preparing a project report. What should be there in the project that we are going to see now? So after identify the project, the next step is the project report preparation, which preliminarily includes, what does it include? Name of the project, type of the project, owner or the owner's name, labor, material and machineries if any required, preliminary project study and feasibility study. Yeah. These are a few things that are contained in your project report. The two basic project reports that we are going to speak about are preliminary project study. What does this mean? This is a preliminary report prepared for taking decision whether a feasible study should be undertaken or not. Means what? The report, what it should contain? The report should consist of a rough determination of the utility of the project, the rough engineering estimated cost, what could be the cost, overall cost there, potential funding sources, where are you going to get the funds from, expected revenues from the project after its completion. Once your project is completed, what could the revenue that could be generated at your side? This also indicates engineering and profitability aspects, etc., as compared to other similar projects already executed by analyzing the following factors. So you'll have already completed many of the projects there. When you just go on comparing, compare your present project with whatever you have completed already before, then you are getting to know what all is to be done. Then you'll have to look into demand based on satisfying national or regional demand, preliminary technical feasibility, different alternative ways for technical and engineering solutions are assessed from the point of view of location, civil structure, interlinkages with other projects or resources. Then coming to alternative locations should be given with their merits and demerits. So location. So I'm going to produce the project here. So if not here, where am I going to? That also should be mentioned there. Then coming to preliminary economic feasibility, it is the report of comparing with other project costs and with project and dedicating the approximate estimate of the project which is most economical than the existing project. You'll have to think of the economy of your organization also. Then we are going to look into what are the benefits that I'm going to get, what is the method of implication. Then you go for implementation based on the assessment of different alternatives. A favorable alternative should be selected giving proper reasons. So these are the few things that you need to keep in mind when you go for doing the preliminary project report. Then we move on to feasibility study. What is this feasibility study? It is the study which is conducted considering all the relevant elements so as to help in a decision making whether the project should be taken up, postponed. So when do you come to this type of decision? So when you don't have enough number of resources or manpower or machinery or whatever resources we have planned, when we don't get them in on time, like then we may get a thought of, is it a right time to start the project or still I be taking some more time? Is anything left out to be done? So this thought itself makes you to create a feasibility report. So what you do is project need or justification, what are the objectives, what are the goals of the project that you have to think. Okay, the first thing is goal making. I told you when it comes for processing, it's always your goal should be very specific. Then coming to analysis of existing conditions regarding human resources, social conditions. You'll have to think of whatever human resources I have now. Is it capable of producing or completing the project that I am planning? Then demand and supply analysis, technical analysis, all this you need to keep in mind. Then coming to social impact considerations, financial aspects, economical aspects, and implementation details. So these all are consistent in your feasibility report. Then what are the things that need to be included in feasibility study? First of all, you will have to think of the government policy in respect of industry. You will have to take some permission from the government or registration or license whatsoever. Specification of the output and technique of production. How are you going to produce the project there? What is the technique? How are you producing? What is going to be the output? What is the project capacity? Clear, that also needs to be mentioned. Raw materials investigation. Is the raw materials that is available with you is sufficient for completion of the project? And site investigation. So whatever I have planned, will it all fit into this site there? Details about infrastructure. How much are you going to invest? What's going to be your plant size, your organization, the manpower, everything, every concept of where you invest the money, that can be called as an infrastructure. You'll have to also know the details about the infrastructure. What is the labor requirement? What is the labor cost, profitability? How much profit am I going to earn? And all, etc. These all things you are going to plan there. Then we are going to see what are the key factors to succeed in business. What are the things that we need to keep in mind? If I want to be a successful entrepreneur, then what are the things that I need to keep in mind? So first thing is you have to be very much passionate about the thing that you do. Clear with? First thing, you have to be very passionate about the thing you want to execute. What is this? Being passionate means what? You should be loving whatever you do. Then coming to perseverance, again hard work. Okay, you'll have to pursue, you'll have to work very hard. These are the qualities that an entrepreneur or a business person, or if you are planning to be successful in business, then these all qualities need to be in you. You need to be passionate, you need to have some perseverance, you need to resilience, you need to have proactiveness. You should have the right attitude to deal with everyone. It could be stakeholders, or it could be the members in your team. If you are a team leader, then you need to manage your subordinates. So how passionate you are about everyone, that all things are going to matter here. You can just see what are the characteristics of an entrepreneur. Just a figure here. You'll have to, do I have what it takes? Means what? Am I like suitable to be an entrepreneur? Clear? First of all, what you have to do is you need to know, am I ambitious or not? So when you have ambitions, only then you can achieve something. You have a vision. When I say you are ambitious, means you should be having some vision, some goal to achieve. Okay, through to you have to see it like forecasting like. Then coming to the self confidence, you may waver at times, but you have to believe in yourself and your business. You need to be confident about what you are going to start off. Then coming to adaptable. When things don't go as you plan, many a times that happens, right? Many things don't go according to our plan. And what you should be doing then? You should be adjustable. When you don't, you should adapt to the situation, whatever is there now. Instead, you shouldn't sit thinking, what should I do? Nothing went according to my plan. No, this should not be done. You have to be able to think on your feet. At the spot, what decision can I take? This should be the mindset of an entrepreneur. And you should be very humble. You can check your ego. You may need to ask for help to hit certain milestones. So always, when you have an ego, it becomes very difficult to achieve what you want. At times, I'm saying. So if you have to ask somebody for help, then definitely your ego is going to be coming in between. Then what you should do, when you are humble enough, you are going to let go of your ego so that you easily ask others for help. Then coming to establishing a business is not an easy task. Definitely you need to be a very hard working person. You need to wear all the hats except long hours, especially in the beginning, because you might have set a time constraint that I'm going to work for 8 hours, 10 hours, anything there. But when we are going to start up with something new, always the time is going to be more than what you expected. Have that patience of working for long hours. Then persuasive, you need to be able to sell your business and yourself to anyone at any time. Whoever, any stakeholder is in need of your business or the products, you need to be ready to sell off to anyone at any time. Then comfortable with risk. I told you, we already discussed that. Risk management, you should be very capable of managing the risks there. You have to love the idea of calculated risk, because it is you who is making decisions. Because when you are a decision maker, you might have taken or you might have planned everything perfect, but when something does not go according to your plan, what happens? That situation, you can call it as a risk. How are you going to come out of this risk? So are you ready for the risk? Always be comfortable with, always you should have alternative plans if you are going to face the risk. Then coming to unwavering passion, there will be a tough days, but your passion will carry you through. You always dreamt of achieving something, right? You always wanted to achieve this. And when you are at that place, when you start thinking, no, it's not possible with me, what is going to happen? So you should never get back. You should never look back from the place you are standing. Always, whatever problems you get, because you have been very passionate in starting the work there, you should also make up your mind to complete it with your full capacity. So these are the few characteristics an entrepreneur should possess. If he has this, then definitely he is going to be successful in achieving his goal. Then, what are the 22 steps to become a successful entrepreneur? It's not that only these are the steps that you need to be a entrepreneur. These are the steps which are most important, or you can say the countable steps, which you need to absolutely keep in mind if you want to become a good entrepreneur. The motivation. So, something should drive you to become an entrepreneur. So, having been motivated to become an entrepreneur, the next natural question one may know is natural risks. So, what you are going to do if you want to be an entrepreneur, I told you, you need to be knowing how to manage the risk, what the potential you have. Okay, so these all things, when you go on summing up, those can be called as the steps there. First thing is, what you do is deciding to go into business. The first step what you think of is, let me do the business. Okay, this is the most crucial decision. Okay, so when do you think of, when I have to do the business, the person should decide whether to take salary based employment or opting for self-employment or become an entrepreneur. It's a very difficult task. Once you complete your education, next what you think of, yeah, I have a degree in hand, what will I do? Will I be an employee under someone, or with the knowledge whatever I have gained, let me become a businessman or a entrepreneurship? This is the most important decision that you are going to take about your career or the future there. Then coming to analyzing strengths and weakness. So if I am going to be an entrepreneur, what are you going to do? Make a SWOT analysis about yourself. You know already what's a SWOT analysis. Knowing your strengths, your weakness, your opportunities and threats. Okay, when you have decided to be an entrepreneur, you have to analyze what are your strengths, what are your weakness, and how are you going to convert your weakness into the strength. And definitely this is going to vary from person to person. Then coming to training, quite possibly the above analysis, when we make the strength and weakness analysis, we will get to know that we are weaker in some sections. Then what can we do? Definitely we can convert that weakness into strength by taking some trainings. Okay, so that train yourself. Okay, so that what is the training that you are going to take about? Developing the skills and changing the attitudes. Entrepreneurship and business managed training skills you can add up. Then developing technical or work skills for proposed or project design. So these all things you can just take the trainings related to the entrepreneurship there. Then coming to environmental scanning. What is this? It's essentially to a very much important thing to study the environment in which you shall operate or to ensure enterprise success. Get to know the business opportunities and the threats in the environment. Wherever you are going to do the business, just try to know what are the threats you have in your surroundings, in your environment. This will assist proper project identification and selection. Clear? Then we will go for product selection. The next step is deciding what business to venture into. What am I going to do? Yes, I want to be an entrepreneur. What is the business I can do or am capable of doing? The range of products shall be taken up for manufacturer and in that quantity. The level of activity will help in deciding size of the business. What size of business can I handle? So this is also there. So when you plan up all this, which first of all selecting the product that you want to design and the size of the product that you want to design. Next, coming to market survey. We have already discussed abundantly about this in the last session. So what survey should be done there? A certain changes in product design required, determine demand, supply, like extent of competition, what is the potential share of the market, possible pricing and distribution policy. The principle is to produce what people demand in form in the and the quantity that can be easily sold. You should make a market survey where you can know how much amount of my product can be sold in the market. This is a very important analysis, and I told you we have discussed it abundantly in the last chapter there. Then form of ownership means what? Are you going to be the sole owner or are you going to include somebody else with you? Clear? So that is called as form of ownership. Then technology. What is this technology? Again, what is the process that you are going to include to produce? What type of process does your product requires? The information on various types of technology should be collected. This will be very useful in determining the type of machinery and equipment to be used. When you get to know the technology, you will know what type of machinery is suitable for my product. Machinery and equipment. Having chosen the technology, the machinery and equipment required for manufacturing has to be decided. Suppliers should be identified and also the cost estimated. Then coming to business registration. By now, you'll have decided what I have to produce, what quantity should I produce, from where all am I going to get the resources, what is the technology I'm using, what is the machinery and the equipment that I'm doing. So all this you have finalized it. Now you will have to go for the registration of your business. Having known the various opportunities, the prospective entrepreneur will have to register his or her business entity by way of filing a memorandum in duplicate with the designated office of this purpose. So any office that is going to deal with giving you the permission of starting your enterprise, you can just consult them and get the registration done. Next, coming with business project report. So after deciding on the form of ownership, location, technology of manufacturing, machinery and equipment, one is ready to prepare a feasibility report or one's own project report. The economic and technical availability of the project has to be selected, has to be established through a proper project report. You are going to see, also you are going to mention there from where on are you going to get the finances. What are the institutions that are going to finance you? So now coming to finance. What is finance? An entrepreneur has to follow some specified procedures to obtain finance from financial institutions or it could be from national banks and all. Then technical know-how. In quite few cases, technical know-how of an envisaged project business may be required or arranged. This can be arranged through the technology supporting institutions and private consultants. Like how much finance is needed for you. Technically, you need to know that. So there are few consultancies which are going to help you in knowing that. Then coming to power connection. So the site chosen should have adequate power connection. One should calculate the power requirement. How much power is required for you to run the project? Okay, or how many voltages, so phase, a single phase you require a supply or a three-phase supply. So determine the nearest place from where, or the nearest pole from where the power can be given to you, as it can materially determine the installation cost. So this also you need to know. Then coming to recruitment of manpower. Clear. Recruitment of manpower. How many people are needed to work in my institution? Once machines are installed, manpower will be required to run them. So the quantum and the type, what type of skilled or semi-skilled or unskilled or administrative type of people you require, or the labors you require. So from where are you going to get these labors? You need to identify them, as well as you need to recruit them, or you need to appoint them. Next, coming to raw materials. The labor requires raw materials to work upon in the installed machines. The raw materials required may be available locally or outside. Systematic arrangement is to be done to ensure that the supply of raw materials to the enterprise is done on time. Basically, when you have to start up a project, raw material plays a very important role. When you don't have sufficient raw materials in hand, it becomes very difficult to make a continuous production. Then coming for production, there should be not any wastage of manpower. It could be materials or machine capacity, whatever you consider. Basically, when you start an enterprise, the things involved there are manpower, machinery, equipment, and natural resources. You should see that none of these are getting wasted, and you are going to invest time on each of them. When it comes for production of proposed items should be taken up in two stages. One should be trial production, secondly should be commercial production. Trial production is going to help you in tracking of problems. Trial, initially you are going to see whether my production is going to be completed, or whether am I going to get the desired product or not, or what are the mistakes that are happening in the project, and what is the concept that I need to change. So when you are out like clear in mind with all these type of trial production, then you can start with commercial production. So commercial production, what does it help in? Like that is going to be the successful trial production. Once your trial production becomes successful, then you can go into commercial production. Then the point is marketing. We have produced now with all the resources available, man, machine, manpower, machinery, and natural resources. The next thing is you have produced, then how are you going to market it? So having produced the products and the services, the stage comes to sell it. The entrepreneur should consider various aspects and how to reach customers, how to distribute the products, what are the channels that are available with him, what is the commission structure, what is the pricing for the advertisements, how will I how am I going to advertise my project publicly, how do the people come to know that I'm producing such product. So this all is called as marketing. Then coming to market research. Once the products have reached the market, the periodic market research should be continuously done to collect information from customers using the product. You should know how satisfied your customer is. If not satisfied, why is he not satisfied? What are the aspects that have not made him satisfied? Just if in that case, can I change some design? Can I change some taste or make any diversification so that my product is going to be a demandable product from the customers? Then last one comes monitoring. So the prospective entrepreneur should always make a periodic monitoring of all the components of the business to ensure the growth. If he has to successfully grow in that particular entrepreneurship, then what he has to do is he has to keep monitoring. He has to take some measures. Okay, how is my sales? What is my profitability? So all, and how can I take the corrective measures? So all these things you need to plan properly. That is called as monitoring. Next, we are going to see what is the procedure for a successful entrepreneur. If an entrepreneur has to be successful, so what is the process involved there? You can see you are going to create a company and you are going to deliver the value to the customers. Basically, the steps involved there is you are going to discover something. The first step is going to be discovery. You plan to produce something that can be called as a discovery. Then you do what you do, you start on developing a business plan. Then what you do some resourcing. You get all the natural resources, manpower, equipment, natural resources and all. Then you start managing the company. Managing the company is definitely going to give you good harvests there. Okay, you are going to get good returns. That is called as harvesting. The output, whatever you get from managing, can be called as harvesting. Now, so the discovery process, an entrepreneurial process begins with an idea generation. The first thing what you thought, should I be an entrepreneur? That is what is an discovery you did, wherein the entrepreneur defines and evaluates the business opportunities. Developing a business plan. What are you going to do next? Is developing a business plan. Once the opportunity is identified, an entrepreneur needs to create a comprehensive business plan. How am I going to do the business? What are the constraints that are included? How much manpower do I need? What are the resources I will be needing? It could be equipment or machinery, anything it is. So he should be planning like how am I going to develop. Then resourcing. The third step in entrepreneurial process is resourcing. Within the entrepreneur identifies the resources from where the finance and human resources can be arranged. From where am I going to get the finances from? Is it from any institutions? Is it from any nationalized banks? We've already spoken of IDBI banks and few examples there. Okay, how are you going to manage your finance? How are you going to arrange the human resource? How are you going to recruit? What are the skills that you are going to see in the manpower that you are going to recruit? All this comes under resourcing. Then coming to managing the company. Once the funds are raised means what? You are going to either, again you are going to select your ownership there, and or you could have taken a loan or borrowed money from someone. Somehow you have started with managing the company. So what are you going to do once the funds are raised and the employees are hired? Then what are you going to do? The next step is to initiate the business operatives to achieve and set goals. Then you have set goals. Whatever goals you have set, you start reaching them. And harvesting, I told you the last part, it's the peak, which you have the fruit of the project can be called as harvesting. The final step in the entrepreneurial process is harvesting, wherein an entrepreneur decides on future prospects of the business, its growth and its development. To what levels can I take? To what next levels can I take? And what is the growth? What I had expected and what am I achieving? What are the decisions I need to take regarding the stability or the expansion of the business operations? So these all have to be taken, or the decisions to be made by an entrepreneur. The entrepreneurial process is to be followed again and again whenever any new venture is taken up by an entrepreneur. Therefore, it's an never ending process. So now, so that actually ends the session 6, what we had wanted to discuss about project planning, or it could be regarding the project capacity, the project report, feasibility report, or the primary report, how we are going to make, and what are the steps to become a successful entrepreneur. Here are a few MCQs you would like to solve. A dash is a set of activities which are networked in an order and aim towards achieving the goals of a project. Project, process, project management, project cycle. It's going to be, what's the answer going to be? What's the answer going to be? You'll have to think of and answer me. Then What does the resource mean? We have been teaching the whole class there. What are the resources? I kept telling you whatever the manpower, the number of people you are going to appoint, that recruit is called as manpower, the machinery that you are using, the materials that you use, or all of the above. It's always all of the above. Following are the responsibilities of a project manager: budgeting and cost control, allocating the resources, tracking project expenditure, all of the above. When I say project manager, it could also be a team leader. Okay, so or a person who wanted actually to start up an enterprise, what are qualities or the responsibilities that you should be having? Budgeting and cost control, allocating resources, tracking project expenditure, all of the above. Project performance consists of, what all does it consist of? Okay, performance, if it has to be best, what are the things you need to concentrate upon? Time, cost, quality, and all of the above. Clear? So here are the team members who all motivated me to take up the session, and I express my heartfelt gratitude to all of my colleagues and my seniors who have been guiding me consistently to reach this stage. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.